I can't believe it. We're live with another Snappy Chat. I've been doing these Snappy Chats for 2 years now. It's 2025, and I love them even more today. So it's all about learning and growing together. I'm Christine Bell. The reason why I started this is because I feel it can get really lonely in business, and actually reaching out and talking to other people who are founders, CEOs of their own business owners. What I learned is we all go through many of the same challenges, right? So we can actually learn and grow together. And there's some level of feeling that sometimes when you really stuck, you just need to talk to someone else and you go, yeah, I can do this. Yeah. So this is why I do them. I love chatting to people like you, Troy, and all my guests, because I learned so much from it as well. So this is all about learning and growing together. And Troy, I'm super excited you're here. I met you through the amazing House of Business community and my Action Browner. And we had a call, we got on really well. I'm like, let's do it. Let's have a snappy chat. Let's go live and talk, yeah? Because we can all learn from each other. So tell us more about yourself, Troy, please. And thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Of course. Well, listen, thank you for having me. And, you know, I've posted earlier on LinkedIn, like, yeah, our talk was like, oh, let's just like have a 15-minute chat. And then I looked down, it's like an hour later. And I love it when that happens. And so I'm very, very grateful for you having me on here. So thank you.
You're welcome. So what do you do? I know we're going to get into this because you do many things and you got different hats on, but right now, what are you up to?
Yeah, so, you know, I have a little bit of a cheeky bio that I like to share with people. So in short, I'm a father, husband, author, recovering alcoholic and salesman, a cancer survivor, a business consultant, and ghostwriter.
So you've lived life to the full, let's put it that way. And life is a journey of up and downs, you know, we all learn that. Ushman is here. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Indeed. Yes. A journey of ups and downs. And and it's been wild. It's been wild.
But you're here to tell the, you know.
And I'm here to share about all of the great times and the not so great times, because it's all, you know, it all
comes together. Exactly. It all comes together. And we got Royce on here as well. He says, two of my favorite people. Yay. We love you too, Royce. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, nice. Thanks, Royce.
Let's get into it. So the way I usually do this is let's focus on a challenge that you have faced in your business, because we all face many challenges in business. So there's plenty to pick, I'm sure, but let's focus on one and then we'll see where this conversation goes.
Yeah. So I was telling you a little bit before, and I'll just restart it. So, you know, I was the kind of guy who just always had a job, right? I had a job when I was like a sophomore in high school, and pretty much all the way through. Like I'm a worker, right? And a few years ago, it became pretty clear that our kids were going to need a little bit more, or my wife and I were going to need a little bit more flexibility to manage our kids. We have now a 6 and a 9-year-old, and so it meant that I left my job with like.
Which is a big thing if you worked your whole life in a certain industry like you have.
Yeah. And one industry, essentially my whole adult career, and just left it. And yeah, that was incredibly scary. You know, spun up a consulting business, which turned out to be pretty good. Like it happened a little bit faster than I expected it to. And the big learning that I had from that was it's more attainable than you think. It's very scary, but you can do it if you just kind of jump in. And yeah, it's just I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have done it sooner. Right. Wish I would have done it sooner.
And I think that's the one little thing I would say around that is, and correct me if I'm wrong, sometimes when we start our business, if we already have something we're very skilled at and we kind of jumping, I'm doing it for my job and now I'm doing it for myself, it's not as massive a leap. And always at this point, not only do we have a lot of experience, but we probably also have a lot of context. So I was the same as you. I burned out. I was working in an agency. I burned out. I just had to leave, and I just did it. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, what do I do now? Yeah. And then I fell into it. Well, I was doing the same thing, but I started freelancing. But then I started bringing in actual clients as well that I used to work with. So it felt, while it was scary, it worked out because I actually had some of the customers already. Now there's, of course, when you, as you have, and I know you'll talk about this, when we pivot to the next level and we go into a complete new direction with no clients or necessarily sort of the same background, we're in a whole new field. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Right. I've, you know, for my entire adult career, I worked in beverage alcohol. So I worked for, like, you know, wine and beer and spirit distributors. Then I worked for craft distilleries for, you know, 15 years. And so, like, that's what I knew. So I started doing consulting on that. And then a year ago, then switched again to something completely different where I had absolutely no experience, absolutely no contacts. But I had, you know, I stopped drinking like 3.5 years ago. So distilling really lost a bit of its luster. And but, you know, I always wanted to be a writer. People have always talked about, like, oh, I love your writing and stuff, but I never knew in college, like, how to turn that into a job. I thought then, like, oh, you could just be like a journalist or write books, but I had no idea what any of that meant. But it was actually
how to make money on it. Yeah.
It was like 1 year ago, basically today, right? So it's Martin Luther King holiday today in the US. And it is.
Thank you on a holiday. I appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. That's kind of one of the other things. Like, I have so much more flexibility right now. So I'm like always working, but like kind of not, like, it's flexible. But we have it's incredibly cold here. I'm in Denver. Like, it's been sub-freezing for 100 hours in a row or something. And we were like -15. And the same thing happened last year. And my pipes froze last year. And so I had no clients, no water, it's freezing. We lit a fire in the fireplace. Like, my house was built in 1854 instead of 1954. Like, it was rough. It was rough a year ago. And then I just kind of started. I started posting. I had never really been a social media person before. But I just thought, like, you know, like, I'm writing a book about a lot of my experiences, and thought, like, I just need to start spreading the word about it. And it all just kind of like happened from there. And it's been pretty good. So,
and that's a huge leap.
Like, just start. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying that's a big leap. One thing is, first we leave a steady job, you know, or an income. We've been used to getting income. We're quite familiar. We're quite confident in our space. We leave that job, start our own thing, which is big enough in itself, right? But then we're still in familiar territory to some extent. We just need to get more clients in. But then what you did was you chose to go, okay, no more alcohol. I want to do what I love, what I'm passionate about, which I think most of us want the freedom to do that exactly in our life. Yeah. And I'll ask you a bit more about what drove that as well, besides the fact that you stopped drinking, because I think there's a bit more to it when we go for what's really in here in our heart. And I think that's when it suddenly becomes, not only are we putting ourselves out there fully because we're showing up authentically at this point, and two, suddenly we have to build from scratch. And building business from scratch it takes courage, and it takes time, and it takes perseverance and willingness to, I think, fail many times and learn as we go. What are your thoughts on this? And please share a bit more.
Yeah, a million percent. And, you know, it's, you know, the middle of January now, a new year, and New Year's often comes with a lot of transitions for people. And in the last 3 weeks, I've had now, because I had one 2 days ago, conversation with people who are looking to do something new in their career. Some because they were laid off, some just because they're looking for a little something on the side, or, you know, so there's lots and lots of different reasons. But yeah, like, change is sort of in the air. And I think it, you know, it makes sense to me that it's happening around New Year's. And so I've had this conversation so many times, and my advice to everybody is to, you gotta believe in yourself. You gotta start, and you gotta start talking to people. You have to start talking to people, and you have to start telling people what you're trying to do. Sometimes I think we can be a little bit guarded because we're unsure, and we don't want to fail, and we don't want to fail in public. But by being a little vulnerable and by sharing, you signal to people what you're looking for. And like, I'm such an optimist. Like, I believe that people want to be helpers, but you have to give them the opportunity. And if you keep your hopes and dreams to yourself, you're never going to give people an opportunity to help you. So you got to kind of ask questions of the people who are just a little bit ahead of you, and just like, yeah, put it out into the world, and you'll be amazed at how much people will come back and help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Royce said, no one sees the weeping over the keyboard part. Yeah, exactly. So true. And there's a lot of things that we don't talk about, but I think you're so right. We have to be willing to be vulnerable. We have to be willing to go, you know what, this is in my heart. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm great at. This is what I'm passionate about. Not quite sure how to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah. And that is a huge game changer in terms of mindset, I think. And in terms of, pushing, like you said, to change, to pivot. Yeah. And pivot is not always easy. It's exciting, but not easy.
Yeah. Exciting. And sometimes things are exciting in a really good way, and sometimes in a really scary way. Right.
Yeah.
It's like the roller coaster and the horror movie are both exciting.
Yes, right. It's exactly that. It's like going on Six Flags and we're suddenly at the top and now we're going down. Yeah. And we can't get out, but it's exciting because we decided to get on the ride, and now we are literally, experiencing the ride, which is, exactly that, thrilling, but scary.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about more. You went back, in terms of, you started consulting, you obviously decided for one reason, in terms of alcohol and stop drinking, that's not the area you want to be. Was there anything else that drove you, that just went, I want to do something else? What happened there that made you go, this is the time to do what I'm really passionate about?
Yeah, I had a couple of conversations, and through my so here's what happened is 100 days after I stopped drinking, I got diagnosed with crazy cancer. And like, just kind of like a nightmare scenario from a recovery point of view. But I had put together a pretty strong system for kind of my self-care and my mental and physical well-being. And and it kept me sober through, like the whole diagnosis. I had my shoulder blade removed. So I had two like pretty gnarly surgeries. One to have my shoulder, so the cancer is in my shoulder blade, and they removed that. And then 6 weeks later had another surgery to put like a prosthetic one in. And yeah, it was super powerful. And I thought, man, if it's, powerful enough to help me through all of that, like most of the issues that I was facing were not specific to my addiction or my disease, right? Like, they're issues that everybody faces because we're all human. And it was just kind of the approach that I took, I really liked. So I started writing about that and about
so that's where the writing started.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was part of your healing process to some extent?
Yeah, it started out to, here's what I tell people. It's like, is when I went to, sorry, my kid's like popping in. When I went to rehab, I expected to just get a lot of treatment for my addiction, but really, that was a very small percentage of the treatment that I got there. And really what I got was treatment for being human, right? And fixing my brain.
And healing the wounds from childhood that we don't really realize are still impacting us, right? And limited
a lot. Exactly. And then the benefit like paid off in spades then after I got my cancer diagnosis. And so so it really did start as like a healing journey, but it was pretty powerful. And every time I talked to somebody about it, they thought, oh my God, that's pretty great. And so I was just like getting these signals, right, to say like, keep going, keep trying. And so I did.
Well done for sticking with it. And how did you find with the writing that sort of helped you transform into something else in your business?
Okay. Yeah, this is This is actually pretty important. I think a lot of us have issues with overthinking, right? Like our brains go and we ruminate. And for me, it was like there were like two things that I knew I did that like really bunched me up. And one was ruminating, right? Just like thinking over and over and over again. And building resentments, right? The two R's, super toxic. Yeah. And one of the things I found while I'm researching for this book is like our minds can think 4,000 words per minute.
Wow.
It's fast. It's too fast.
That is a lot. That's a lot, hey?
We can't process it. So if you and to put that in perspective, everybody can try this, right? Go to your favorite podcast and put it on 3.5 times speed. Listen to it for 30 seconds or whatever, and your brain is 17 times faster than that. So if you didn't listen or understand anything from listening to the podcast at 3.5 times, like good luck if your mind is racing, right?
Wow.
So what do we got to do? We got to slow down a little bit, right? We speak at maybe 135 words a minute. So compared to 4,000, we're much, much slower, right? So that helps. And I think that we see that, right? Like when we have issues and we talk them out to somebody, we start to say like, oh, I get that now. Or in a lot of ways you hear this, I don't even think it's cliche, but like the best way to learn something is by teaching it, right? And it's because you have to transform your thoughts into language. And that's an idea by this psychologist at the University of Texas, James Pennebaker. And he's big on writing and kind of journaling, right? He calls it expressive writing. But you type, if you're really fast, you're typing like 60 words a minute.
Wow.
Okay. So like half as fast as you speak. And then if you write by hand, now you're 13 words a minute. Okay. So
is it good to say if you want to slow down, we should be writing by hand, you're saying?
That is the slowest way to transform your thoughts to language, is to write it by hand. Yeah, absolutely.
So the book won't be ready anytime soon, but at least you'll get a chance to process your thoughts and feelings. Yeah.
Well, my book is it's coming along. I published in the spring. I'm deep in revisions.
And did you do it by hand or did you do it by?
No, I typed.
On the computer.
I typed.
Yes.
I typed.
Which is why it's coming out and we're excited for it. And what is it all about, your book?
Yeah, so it's about, I'm working on a subtitle right now, but it's the science, stories, and systems that, helped me keep my mind right and my body straight while fighting addiction and cancer and raising a kid on the spectrum and fighting burnout at work. And so there's a framework that I learned in recovery called HALT, H-A-L-T, right? And the idea is that nobody makes good decisions when they're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, right?
Sure.
And for everybody, right? Yeah. But we also live in an age where people are constantly trying to solve problems, right? Solve problems. It's like looking for quick fixes or hacks or whatever. But if I think about most of the problems that we have, they fall kind of on a grid, right? They're either emotional or physical, and either internal or external, or personal or social, right? Yeah. And that's what makes HALT powerful, because if you think about being hungry, it's like kind of one of the most internal and physical issues that you can have, right? Yeah. Anger is really kind of a stand-in for emotions, but those are internal and emotional. Loneliness is all about your relationships, which are social and emotional. And then tired, right? Like we should focus on our sleep and exercise, our physical and external bodies. And so that's the framework of the book. There's 4 parts going through each one of those quadrants. And a bunch of research and then stories from my life, and then kind of things that I did to not overcome those things, because that's really the point, right? Like Right, Christine, you probably got hungry today, yes?
Yes.
Okay. And yesterday?
That too.
And you will again tomorrow and the day after that and the day after
And
that,
later
right?
today
Because,
again. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
and a few times a day. And the same is true for processing emotions. You will have those every day of your life, and you will have relationships and struggles in those, and you will sleep every day, I hope, and hopefully move your body around, right? So like there are no solutions to these problems. And I think that we get bunched up because we start looking for problems to solve, but these like root problems don't have solutions. They need to be nurtured and cared for kind of continuously. And that was the big unlock.
I think that's such a huge point. And there's a question here I want to ask you from one of the people listening in. But I think that's such a huge thing that you're saying right there, because what it means is that we are so busy fixing so we can control, as human beings, so we can control situation, control ourselves, control others, control everything. And Mike is here. Thank you, Mike Asher Brown. We love you too.
Hey, Mike.
From the Handsome Business, if you don't know it, check it out and check out Mike Eschenbrauner. But we can get so fixated on fixing things so we don't have to feel it, we don't have to deal with it almost, or we in control of it, And what I'm hearing is this is all about the fact that you actually go, okay, hold on, we got to just surrender to some extent, and we just got to learn a way through it rather than a way of us trying to manage ourselves, or others.
Yeah, exactly right. And I really prided myself on being a problem solver, right? Like I was like, that's my thing. Like any problem, I'm not only going to fix your problems, I'm going to fix my problems, I'm going to fix everybody's problems. And then just when I realized that is so short-sighted and was creating actually more problems than it was solving. I was like, oh man, like, wow, that is, and here's the thing that I didn't expect is I started to get better results when I stopped trying to fix everything.
And isn't that the joke on all of us? Yes, sometimes we have to step back a little bit, not be so out there chasing, versus actually going, let's do the right thing that feels authentic and feels aligned to us, and take those actions, because we do need to take actions. But at the same time, let's not get so high on the chase, because we're always chasing a high on the control. I think I love that. I just want to add a question from the great Michael. I hope I pronounced it correctly. He said, oh my God, the pace of the brain you mentioned is worth reminiscing on. What do you think the space for an ADHD is faster?
The pace? Gosh, I have clearly not a scientist, so I have no idea. My guess is faster. And the relief then from writing, and that's one of the important things, right? Is you don't have to physically write or type. Speaking is good enough, right? Because you go from 4,000 or more words per minute to like 130 or something, and really the magic happens when you transform your thought to language. And it doesn't happen when you say the words in your head. You have to produce the language to get the benefit.
Isn't that a great segue in, because we're about finishing up, and I love all your insights, and Royce is saying so many great insights, Troy, loving it. And so am I. And this is a great segue into what you do, because you're a ghostwriter, right? So you actually write. So you taking it out of your head onto paper now, and now you help other people as well. So tell me a bit more about that, and what you enjoy about it, I guess, and what you get out of it personally as well, not just your clients get out of it.
Okay, so there are so many things that I get out of it personally. One is like I get to talk to really cool people. Like I'm talking to people running amazing businesses with incredible points of view and really big hearts. And that is incredibly fulfilling for me. And it turns out, and this is a little related, but it turns out to help them too. So one of the big benefits of my approach is that I interview all of my clients like on a monthly basis to kind of see where their head's at, see what they want to write, and they in those interviews end up working out a lot of the ideas that they are, and a lot of the problems that they are working on in their business. So it ends up for them being an opportunity to kind of hash some of those things out. And on more than one occasion, I've had business owners say to me like, hey, will you send me this transcript? Because like we've been working on this for a while, and like I want to remember all this.
I love that you're doing that, because collaboration, co-creation is a very powerful way to create business. And it's exactly, actually, I don't want to, I'm not going to call out too much of my own stuff, but I have a community, which is all called Strategy on the Go. And we have weekly calls. And it's exactly that. Whilst I'm obviously leading them, actually, it's just a way when we get together as business owners, not only do we have community, if we're having a bad day, it's actually nice to meet up with others, but we just talk. And guess what? Me and you might be talking, like if you were in there, we'd be talking about your business, but everyone else is getting something out of it. And suddenly we're all working out our own business, including me. Yeah. Because we just need that feedback and that sort of talking it out and getting insights and someone questioning it. And then suddenly we go, oh yeah. And suddenly it clicks. Yeah.
Exactly. And, you mentioned at the top of the show that, sometimes starting a business or running a business or whatever can be really lonely. And it's so true. And then when I get injected as a little bit of a safe space, right? Because like confidentiality is very big for my clients. So, and I'm outside of the organization as well. So they can maybe say things to me that they wouldn't say in a meeting with anyone else on the team. And they find it very helpful to kind of work all of that out.
They find a voice too. Yeah.
And they find their voice too. And so that to me is really fulfilling. They seem to get a lot out of it because they comment on how much they appreciate that. And, but like largely my value proposition is that, a lot of business owners, the things they love to do and the things that they're really good at, their zone of genius, is not necessarily writing. And it's not writing books, and it's running their business and solving problems and working with their team and everything else. And so I allow them to like stay engaged on bigger platforms or through books while staying in their business, right? So they get to spend much more time in their zone of genius, but they still get to share these incredible ideas and stories with the world. And I think everybody benefits from that. We talked about sharing at the beginning, and I have a rant that I go on, but I think that sharing it's incumbent upon us to share our stories, because no matter where we are, there's somebody who is behind us and looking up to us who could use a little help or guidance. There are also people who are right there with us, right? Who are in the trenches doing the things that we're doing. And just like with your community, when you get to share notes, it's incredibly powerful. And then to the people who are a little bit ahead of you, it gives them an opportunity to step in as a mentor, which is incredibly fulfilling for them and for the person they're helping out. But if you're not sharing the issues that you're going through, they don't know you're there, right? Or they don't know that you're, kind of working and like willing to put yourself out there and to try. And so it hits all three of those levels, and everybody up and down the ladder benefits. And so it's incredibly important to share. And so that's kind of my outlet, right? I let people and help people turn their genius into words that resonate with people, while they can continue to run their businesses. So.
And I love that. And you're highly recommended. We'll make sure you put in comments where people can reach you as well. And I've got the LinkedIn, but if you have a website, you can put it in as well. We've got your LinkedIn contact here on. But what I just want to finish up with, because everything I'm hearing is exactly this, and it's a little bit spiritual, but I'm sure you will agree. We are individuals, but we're not alone in this world. We're actually here together, and together we can grow further as long as we let down the guard and we're willing to co-create and collaborate and be honest and vulnerable and trust that the people we do choose to work together with or commune with or talk to, actually, if we're in it together, we're going to grow much further together. Yeah. So we can all help each other rise.
Oh my God, 1,000,000%. And like, think about this, right? There have been like 117 billion people who have lived on Earth, right? Yeah. So like, you're not special, But that's beautiful because it means you're not alone either, right? Like whatever you're going through, somebody has been there before, and that's why sharing is important.
It's a human experience, so let's share it with the world. We're here to make an impact in whatever way and form. Thank you so much for your time. We're going to finish now. We're right on time. I appreciate you. As always, last time we went for an hour. I could go for another hour or two with you, but in the interest of time, we're going to finish up and let people get on with their life. And we thank everyone who's been here. Mike, Ross, Royce, DeGrate, and Oshman is here as well. DeGrant, did I say it correctly? I want to. Great, yeah. So hopefully I pronounced it correctly. So thank you, everyone. And those I can't see, I think Tommy might be as well. You can always see half the people who are on here. So thank you so much.
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you to you, Troy. I appreciate your time and your thoughts
Christine.
and willingness to share.
I appreciate you and everybody. So bye now. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.